Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodeau, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you're joining us, we appreciate it. And very glad to be joining us, the one and only Deuce McAllister. Deuce, thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem, Keith. Thank you for having me on from down on the Bayou.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Of course, Saints Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. Man, you got some insight into the game coming up that most people don't. How's the Crescent City looking right now, getting prepared for the Super Bowl?
Well, you can feel the excitement in the city as far as the build up to the Super Bowl and some of the things that have been happening, not only just from the over the last 5 years with the Caesars Superdome. You know, you talk about the upgrades that they've been doing. They were finally able to wrap them up right before the Saints season started this year. And so the NFL has taken over the dome as far as a lot of the operations and things that happen on the field, and some of the streets, they've started to close them off, and that will continue to happen as we get closer and closer to the Super Bowl. And one of the things when you talk about in the city, look at the banners that are going up on the buildings. Look at the murals that are painted on the street, on the bridges, the lights being put on the different bridges. So a lot of excitement as we build up to the big game in a couple weeks.
Really exciting. I know for all the people, the thousands of people coming to the Super Bowl, what can they expect as a fan experience?
Well, from the fan experience, the NFL has done a great job of just making sure that they include stuff for people that won't be able to go to the game. If you are lucky enough to go to the game, that's great. But if you don't have tickets to the game, there's still a ton for you to be able to do. And it's just not game day as far as Super Bowl Sunday. Starting the Monday of Super Bowl week, that will be the media day for both teams. That night at the Caesars Superdome, media day will feature not only both teams being interviewed by local reporters, regional, but international as well. And the NFL allows fans to be able to go to that now. That was not always the case. And so with that, you get to learn a lot about the player off the field. And so some players might like to fish. Some players might like to hunt. They may be into cars. They may be into video games. Keith, you know, we kind of don't know, but that's an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. The other thing that Wednesday, the NFL experience will start. It will go from Wednesday to Saturday. The NFL experience will be at the convention center. That's another one that you don't need tickets to be able to go to. It's for the hardcore fans. It's for the casual fans. It's for kids. There will be different events that will be going on in the convention center. And so it may be a former player like myself. It may be a current player. They will be in there taking pictures, signing autographs, interacting with fans. That's something the NFL has done a really, really good job of. The other thing, Keith, I think that you know this being from down on the Bayou from Houma, since we're in carnival season, we will have a Mardi Gras style parade for the Super Bowl. That will happen Saturday before the game. And that's something that only we can do here in New Orleans, put on that type of show. This will be the 11th Super Bowl that New Orleans has hosted. So hopefully fans can come out and experience it, and just, even if their team is not in the game, they can come out and enjoy the city.
Yeah, and it seems like not only the city, but most of South Louisiana, we may feel some impacts even down here in Houma with the volume of people coming in. And it, like you said, wanting to maybe go fishing, wanting to maybe go and experience what South Louisiana has to offer. There's a lot of things. Ought to be some spillover here with the volume of people coming in, huh?
No, there will be some spillover. I mean, because when you go and look at the rooms, you know, whether it's a local aspect or not, you know, it may be, hey, I got to go out to Slidell. I got to go to the North Shore. You know, I may have to go to Laplace. The other part is I got to go down to Houma. You know, it's Houma, Thibodeau area where you may have to get a room. And so some of the people that maybe are from different areas, they're accustomed to driving 30, 45 minutes just to get from point A to point B. So I do expect some spillover to happen. But if they're looking for some good fishing, I would advise them to definitely go down on the Bayou, because the fishing, that's where you're going to go and enjoy it, and, just enjoy the region in general as well as the food.
I appreciate that. And so, Deuce, as a Super Bowl champion yourself, what are your thoughts? I know the games this weekend are going to be really interesting. We got a big battle coming up with several of them. Do you have a particular favorite, maybe one of the teams that have a running style much like you?
I do like the matchups that you have as far as the games coming up, and it's hard for me to go against Patrick Mahomes just because, you got to beat him. He's been able to do it the last couple of years, and I know people will say they're not winning convincingly, but at the end of the day, they're winning. And I think that's probably the most important piece about it. They hadn't played in a couple weeks, so, they should be fully healthy. They do have the Texans. Texans are beat up a little bit. C.J. Stroud looks like they're bouncing back and catching their stride as far as some of the things that they want to be. But it's going to be tough to go into Kansas City and win that matchup. Buffalo and Baltimore, man, that is going to be a drag-out, knockdown fight between those two QBs and those two teams. And so I couldn't really tell you, Buffalo may be favored slightly because they're at home, but man, it's hard and tough to go against Lamar in that matchup. And then on the NFC side, you've got teams that have won the Super Bowl. The Rams have won the Super Bowl. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl. And then you've got the youngster, Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders being able to go to Detroit and try to knock off a team that is favored probably to win it. On the NFC side, as far as the Detroit Lions. So I'm hoping they're great games this weekend, so we can welcome the fans and the teams to New Orleans in a few weeks.
Well, Deuce, we certainly appreciate it. Look, one of those things are people call you lots of different things. I'll call you a bit of an ambassador. I've watched you walk into the Dome each year and be able to identify each person at each of their stations by name. You certainly are one of those people that represent what New Orleans is about and welcoming people. We're very glad that you're in that position and in that role. So thank you for what you do and all the things that you've done with the Saints and for the Saints.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right. We appreciate it. All right, guys, that'll do it for us in this particular segment of Bayou Time. But don't go anywhere. A whole lot more right here on HTV.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.